But I do also want to let you know that coming up, there is going to be a news conference on a pretty touchy subject. It's actually a headline that pretty much rocked America. I guarantee you saw it. Pregnant, brain-dead Georgia woman kept on life support for months in order to give birth. Once again, it just shook the world when that one came out. It's a case that really made us all think deeply about humanity. One question is it cruel to allow a family to process their grief twice, not just once? The first time when 30-year-old Adriana Smith was declared brain dead in February, and then again a second time in June, just days after giving birth to her beautiful son that you're seeing there on your screen. His name is Chance. But of course, after she did finally give birth by C-section, she went on ahead and passed. They took her off of life support. Adriana was just a few weeks pregnant when she suffered multiple blood clots on her brain. And so in order to preserve her life, because, you know, remember, we have that ban on abortion here in Georgia. In order to preserve her life, they put her on life support and kept her there in order to be able to eventually give birth to that little baby, give him a chance to be born. Her family could not terminate her pregnancy. They could not pull the plug. So again, they had to grieve her not just once, but twice. And here's the real kicker, because after Chance was born, his father, Adrian Harden, found out that he actually had no legal rights to him as the father. And that's because he and Adriana weren't married before she ended up, falling ill and then being put on life support. It's a really tricky case there. To make matters even worse, he had to sue her after she was already dead, posthumously, to gain temporary custody. But we learned that just this month, the judge had gone ahead and made that custody permanent. We are waiting for that press conference to begin. It was supposed to start at 11, but I see we have a live look at the podium, and it is still empty at this point in time. So we're going to keep going with our top news of the day. But as soon as we do get somebody to that podium, I want to get you out to it so you can listen in. It's going to be Adrian, the father, speaking with his attorneys. We may also potentially get to hear from the family there about everything that's going on. Again, there's some change that they would like to bring to the Georgia state law, because I told you the reason why she was put on life support, the reason why she was held for so long, why she was forced to give birth and then was allowed to pass away a second time, if you will, is because of the abortion ban that we have here in Georgia, that heartbeat law. Do you see we have that press conference has just gotten started? Let's pop over to that and let you listen in. I see a lot of you in the comments wanting to know about it.
A 30-year-old African-American mother who was a nurse who was 9 weeks pregnant. The world learned that Adriana's boyfriend took her to seek medical treatment at Northside Hospital for severe headaches she was suffering. The world learned that Adriana was only given medication and sent home with her boyfriend. The world learned that Adriana's boyfriend found her the next morning unresponsive and gasping for air. The world learned Adriana's boyfriend ensured she was taken to another hospital, Emory University Hospital, where a CT scan was performed and revealed that she had multiple blood clots in her brain. The world learned that Adriana was declared brain dead on February 19th of this year. The world learned that baby Chance was miraculously born by C-section on June 13th of this year. The world learned that unfortunately, Adriana was removed from life support, and 4 days later, she unfortunately passed away. There was a lot of finger pointing, conspiracy theories, lots of conjecture on this law, that law. One thing we never heard anything about was Adriana's boyfriend, the man who took her to seek medical treatment, the man that found her gasping for air, struggling to survive, the man that ensured she went to another hospital for medical treatment, the man that was by her side, the father of her then unborn baby, her boyfriend, her support system. There was no public display of empathy nor concern for the mental and emotional well-being of the father that was there when Adriana suffered this great loss. It was not until last Friday that the world became aware of who Adrienne Hardin is. The tragic story of Adriana Smith and her unborn baby hit the news February of this year. Only one person had the wherewithal and thought to ask, what about the boyfriend that was there with her? What about baby Chance's father? That one person was Paternal of the New York Times. She was the only individual to contact our law firm about this case. What's shocking is our court records here in Georgia are public. Anyone could have searched her name and found this case. The public's lack of concern and lack of awareness for Mr. Hardin and what he has experienced, unfortunately and fortunately, allowed him to grieve somewhat in peace. It allowed us to protect him and to protect his interests in peace. The reason why we are here and why this is so important is we want people to reflect on their personal views in reference to unwed fathers, more specifically, unwed African American fathers. I'm not suggesting that the terrible loss of Adriana Smith and the unfortunate circumstance of her baby should have received less attention. What I am suggesting and encouraging each person who hears my voice to consider whether or not he was deserving of more care and empathy, even in his unknown and unnamed status. I also want people to consider the law that we're here to talk about. Mr. Hardin did not have any legal rights to his biological son, Chance Hardin. He had no rights whatsoever, even in a tragic situation where the mother has passed. So while he's worrying about the uncertain future of his medically fragile baby, Mr. Hardin is confronted with the fact that legally he could potentially not be able to take his baby home. Why, you ask? Because Mr. Hardin did not have any legal rights. Here in Georgia, if a father has a child with a woman he is not married to, that father has no legal rights whatsoever. It does not matter if he signed the baby's birth certificate. It doesn't matter if there's a positive DNA test. It doesn't matter if that child bears his last name. Unless he marries the mother or sues her, the father has absolutely no legal rights, even in a tragic situation such as this.
All right, so you guys, we are listening in there to that press conference. The attorneys are speaking on behalf of Adrienne Hardin, the father of that baby who was born after his mother was declared brain dead and then put on life support for months, forced to give birth because here in Georgia we do have an active abortion ban. One of the things that I keep hearing the attorneys talk to you about, and I want to make sure I explain, is the fact that he technically, legally, did not have any rights to his son, even though he was there at the hospital, even though he signed the birth certificate, even though he was with the mother at the time. And that is because they weren't married. Here in Georgia, the paternal rights are very tricky. And so one of the things they keep talking about is the fact that they would like to eventually change Georgia's law so that it doesn't affect fathers moving forward, so no one else has to experience kind of hurt and pain that he had to experience. This has been a legal battle for him, first trying to gain that temporary custody and then having to sue the mother of his child after she already died in order to gain permanent custody, which he was granted earlier this month. So that is what they have been talking about there. And I see that you guys are very interested in this story in our TikTok live chat. So first of all, thank you guys so much for being so vocal and continuing to keep that chat going. Trying to see if there are a couple of people. I see some people saying they want to send their condolences. So wrong, pro-life until it's the mothers. These are all words from our chat, words from our viewers, not my own. So thank you again for joining the conversation there.